The world. The bronze to Senator John McCain, who told interviewer Tavis Smiley that he was going to reach out to African Americans by going, quote, all over this country. I'm going to go to South Philadelphia. I'm going to go to the Black Belt in Alabama. Well, sir, good luck on that. As the Philadelphia Daily News pointed out, South Philly is it's not really an African American community. It's now largely Asian and Hispanic, and the area's black population is less than a third, far below the city's average. Nobody's even really sure what would have made McCain think South Philly had been African American. For decades, its well-known cultural identification was Italian American. The runner-up tonight, the vice president. How can you tell he's lying? His lips are moving. Sean Hannity asked him about the consequences of pulling out of Iraq. Cheney, ignoring the fact that al-Qaeda in Iraq is not connected to the international al-Qaeda, and our estimates of its membership are still around 1,000, answered, if al-Qaeda were to take over big parts of Iraq, among other things, they would acquire control of a significant oil resource. Iraq has almost 100 billion barrel reserves, producing 2.5 to 3 million barrels of oil a day. You take a terrorist organization like al-Qaeda and give it that kind of revenue, there's no telling the amount of trouble they could get into. Also, they could get help from Martians. The Martians and al-Qaeda hooked up. Boy, that'd be a bad day at the beach if you catch my drift. Those who are tardy do not get fruit cup. But tonight's winner is Billo, whose programmers must really be screaming at him. He has greeted the announcement of a new nonprofit 501c4 group and a 527 group under the stewardship of David Brock, who's done a brilliant job using only the words of O'Reilly and his ilk of making O'Reilly and his ilk look like the helots they are. The new groups will create and run advertising criticizing John McCain's presidential candidacy. So Billo said last night, I believe this is evil. And the pipeline extends directly to NBC News, which will publicize every piece of slime Brock can create. Only one word describes this: despicable. The next words out of his mouth were about how Obama once met two former members of the old 70 radical group, Weather Underground. But why is this evil? Because the same people who exposed Billo for the fraud he is, using only his own words, now have a Republican in their sights. When the reverse was done, and without the consideration for truth or fairness Brock will no doubt maintain with McCain, it was done by a group called the Swift Boat Veterans. And Bill O'Reilly was one of the Swift Boat Veterans' prostitutes. In August of 2004 alone, O'Reilly devoted 13 television segments and 2 weekly newspaper columns to the attacks on John Kerry. After the election, he had one of the unemployed members of the Swift Boat group on his show and pleaded for somebody to give the man a job. You claim to be a religious guy, Bill. Does this ring a bell? Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Bill O'Reilly, today's worst person in the world.